Alright, I'm back. I lost you guys there. Sorry. I had to disconnect. I kind of tapped the accelerator there, but definitely hesitated from the 50 mile an hour down on that flashing yellow. I have a lead car now. It might be locked into changing lanes to follow route. Again, both lanes will go down to the same route, so there really is no need for that. I'll put on the minimal lane changes. It gave me a little bit of a jerky hesitation on that caution light. I don't know if there's too many more caution lights. There's one, actually there's two more, so that are coming up soon, and then there's two more over there by Bailey and Casanova area. So the speed limit was kind of odd there. I must have missed the speed limit sign. The speed limit here is 55. Oh, sometimes it goes into that turn lane. It started to act like it was going to. I should just stay in this lane and see if it does that tonight. I'll do the normal. Typically I'm offset to 61. See if that makes any difference. Here we go. It went into this left turn lane by itself and slammed on the brakes. I took over, but I'm not sure why it does that. Entered into left turn lane, which was not part of following route. Something's weird. Oh, there it goes. So yeah, that's one that's just kind of creeped up on 11.4.2 and never really did that before. On the old autopilot, it would try to fade into those lanes. It'd usually find itself and pull itself back before it actually entered the lane. I think that would be averted if I was in the right lane, but either way, I shouldn't be going into the turn lane when it's not on my route. I believe some of the other streamers, like Dirty Tesla, has experienced similar behavior. This flashing yellow it seems to do okay with. It hesitates a little bit. 61 now. And there's the hesitation down to 58. Picks back up right away to 61. It was really strange before when it would flash. It would be like every time it would flash and then realize that it wasn't going to turn red, even though that one doesn't have a red. It would hesitate, then go, hesitate, go, hesitate, go. So it was like going down from between 58 back to 60, 58 to 60 until it realized. But now it only did it one time. So. And then if it's wrong, then I can report it. I'll be a little bit more likely to let it go into the turn lane and see what it's going to do. Is it going to slow down? Will it pull back over? correct itself or correct. But he said, you know, times that one's changing lanes to follow route. And the left lane does go away. Yeah, there's one here in the next, I don't know, 10 miles or so that is a once in a while it'll do something strange where normally it wouldn't do that. So when I see it do something, the other day I nighttime drive and a deer came out. Okay, here we're driving into the right. Wonder whether or not I should just brain 5. But again, it's really strange. Some of the times it has problems with some that I expect, and then one day it'll just decide that, you know, hey, it's not going to do it. It's going to go through it just fine. Won't slow down, won't hesitate. Sometimes, you know, I'm wondering if it's a lead car. Other times there's no lead car and it does it right. So the inconsistencies or the making it do something different. One thing I know for sure, I feel I know for sure, is that I believe that they send some changes or do something different to the same version behind the scenes through the LTE connection. Stopping for a traffic light. Down to 29. The speed limit is 55. Of course, there's no traffic. Like I said, I let it do its thing. But I feel like they do something through the LTE connection. They make slight changes, modifications. I know one big one for me was my car would not merge onto the expressway when they went to single stack. It would not merge onto the expressway right. I could try put my blinker on for it to merge a little early, which it used to do when it was separate stacks, and I could put my blinker on as long as I was still in the FSD beta stack, and then it would get me over and it would cross over the line a little early and get me out of the expressway. But if I would just let it do its thing, it would run me all the way to the very edge of where I needed, where if finally that lane expires, and it would kind of force me in from the line. And even if I put my blinker on once I hit the highway stack, it would not get me over. And then when I got single stack, it was the same behavior. I thought that would go away, and I'd be merging onto the expressway, and it would run me all the way to the end of that white line and push me into the expressway, and it was very uncomfortable. And so I tried, but it would do nothing. It would do nothing. where it's not the two separate versions. Dotted line, and I'd put my blink build. Just one day, I could start using my blinker and it would work. So there was a couple other occasions where I was like, definitely I could see a difference or a change that was a dramatic thing that had to have been pushed in the background. And I know I've seen some interviews or whatever, but like the point where it could drop or whatever without any kind of interventions or anything. You could get in the back and it would take you somewhere that it wouldn't be dependent on an internet connection. So with him saying that, it almost tipped me off that, they actually pushed some slight modifications or code changes in, tweaks somewhere, somehow, that changed the behavior dramatically. There's been some talk about a discussion, people go back and forth about it, but some other people have seen some things happen that make them believe the same thing. But it's just strange because when you do the full update, when you get a normal update, it goes through a certain process and you see a lot of things happen and hear a lot of things happen with your car as it's stepping through the different things. So, I mean, I'd like a solid answer. Maybe during like a Ask Me Anything or something with Elon, that'd be a good one. But to find out if they're actually changing anything. I know one time they changed something on me that I didn't like at all. Was they had pushed out a beta update for FSD, and then they decided that they had to, there was a glaring issue with it, and they had to roll people back. So I actually got in my car and it said I had an update, and it started downloading the update to roll me back, and then it froze up. So I rebooted my car, and then the update was gone, and I was still on the later version. But when I went into my settings, I seen that they had disabled or toggled off the auto emergency braking, because basically the issue was you'd just be driving and it would be warning you that basically you're going to hit something. It was like forward collision warning, and it would beep and go crazy all the time and constantly. And so I guess their solution, instead of sending out, rolling everybody back one version, then they disabled my auto emergency braking, which was without any kind of notice or warning. And that one totally made me question or wonder whether or not they're going to do the right thing. I think that last blinking yellow I may have overrode with my pedal, because that's just usually what I do normally. So this one here, the speed limit's 55, it's slowed down to 20. Blinking yellow. I forgot to look at the visualization to see how it sees it. Typically when it's doing that, it's seeing it as a yellow and then it turns to red. But it seems like the ones that are just straight blinking yellows, it should be able to differentiate from a light. That's the 3 different traffic controls: the stop, go, slow, stop, or whatever, green, yellow, red. But I mean, they're physically different sizes as well, but on every visualization, no matter if it's just a single blinking yellow light or a longer, bigger, normal triple traffic, it is that. So for being able to do measurements with the cameras and all the different things, you'd think they'd be able to say, yeah, this is just a caution light. And I get it. I look up the specific law and it'll say, yeah, blinking yellow light, you should slow down and take caution. typically that would be the case if I see somebody approaching the intersection. Down a little bit just in case they blow their side and come through. So I'm a little cautious, but maybe 10 miles an hour. So you're going 55, go down to 50. If there's nobody there, no need to go down in speed at all. Would be my thinking. It's 2018. Had it straight away. The lane keeping. Autopilot. So 28 when I've been really at 100 and probably 156,000 miles now, or close to it. A few days ago, let's see. I have 480, so yeah, split it. Anyway, I would have to say I'm probably amount of. I'm begging. I would love to see what percent of driving has been autopilot. Some maintenance issues. I am pretty good of to where I didn't have to really do my, so I was avoiding autopilot, apt to use the brakes into the shop. So in the last few months, embarrassingly, I really was disengaging a lot just because I was avoiding it to do the braking for me, and then just let the regen braking work. So if I was coming up on a red light or something, and sometimes it comes in a little hotter than I want it to, and then it'll apply the brakes. Where I had it used to be a game to me when I drove manually to try to get the highest efficiency, would be like slow down to the appropriate speed with the regen to where it'd either stop on its own, like into hold from a regen brake, and get the highest efficiency. And it always surprised me that I thought autopilot would be able to drive more efficiently than I can, but that's another thing I can't. There was a triple hesitation on that flashing yellow. You guys probably thought I was bobbing my head to a song or something. So the last time I came by this speed sign, I didn't see it. It right there popped up at the very last second, but it was so strange. My brights came on, it was very clear that speed limit sign was there, and I thought I was going to miss it again today, but it actually caught it at the last second. So those things are always weird to me. I don't know if, I almost feel like that particular speed limit sign got tweaked by the wind or something, like a really high wind, and it like got turned a little bit, so it's not like facing the road properly. So maybe that's because it always read it before. And so somewhere here recently, either because of what update I'm on, or because the sign shifted a little bit or something, it misses that one. Now here's my GPS speed slowdown. So there was no speed limits change by sign or anything like that, but I've slowed down to 50. It says my max is 45. So yeah, I've talked about that in some of my past videos. But basically, some speed limits are set by GPS. I mentioned my son was intern at our road commission, and that was one of his jobs, was to drive around, or maybe his sole job was to drive around and set speed limits with his computer, laptop, some device, something that would mark it there, and then so somehow Tesla interfaces with that, and the speed will change. I overrode it with a scroll wheel, so it still thinks the speed limit is 45, but the speed limit is definitely 55 here. I'm not speeding. Yeah, but so mainly the biggest issues that I have with it are I'm through them, as far as on my miles, one way, and all the ones that are the worst things per se. I mean, like the expressway, and it doesn't go. I can override with my gas or my accelerator pedal, just push down a little bit, and I actually hold it down through the full turn and let go, and then we're good. The flashing yellows, basically the first one on Alpine, I make sure to so just between the traffic controls. Is a green yellow. So at night, it's a blinking yellow. And here on my it slowed down to 28, even though the speed limit was 30, and I normally go 33 through that. It slowed down to 28, so I actually lost 5 miles an hour, and it actually slowed down after it went through the blinking yellow, so that was super strange. It's almost like Clyde's listening and decided to make a fool out of me. But yeah, that's awesome. But those are the types of things, the inconsistencies. One of the reasons I know that they want to do it without a driver, so these are the things that I'm pointing out, that like if I wouldn't be in the car, if I'd be in the back, say, and I got off on the exit and just sat there, I mean, then traffic's come up behind, and the car will be blocking the path. But more for me right now would be more of like a safety thing. So Tesla has a lot of safety features like auto emergency braking. It has traffic aware cruise control, to where if you get a little dazed or daydreamy or something and you're using their traffic aware cruise control, it'll make sure that if somebody slows down in front of you, it's that safety feature in a sense, as far as, well, now I don't have traffic aware cruise control anymore, and I'm overriding it. So if somebody decides to slow down, and you're just by habit holding the accelerator, and you forget, and you think the thing's going to slow down for you, no, it's not going to. Yeah, it comes up with a warning. So like if I slow down to 55, and then I decide, well, no, I don't want to go 55. Let's say we want to go 58. So now I'm going 58. Now if I hold that for, I believe it's like a 10-second count. Yeah, there we go. Cruise control will not brake. Accelerator pedal is currently pressed. So now if somebody pulled out in front of me, normally my car would slow down, for that. But now, if somebody pulled out in front of me, I would, if I didn't, if I was not rapids. And so this story about how, the car went off the road and hit a tree, like, to me, that wasn't autopilot went off the road and hit a tree. Well, anyway, you're always supposed to be paying attention. You're always supposed to be, ready to take control. It doesn't drive for once, and Tesla can dig into it and see if the thing was in autopilot or if it wasn't, how long it hadn't been in autopilot, was the accelerator pressed, how long it was before there was any steering input. But, so, I mean, it's really easy to find. But, I believe she thought she was in. So she thought the car was driving and wasn't paying attention. Off the road and hit a tree, and she was, instead of admitting that, hey, I wasn't, but then she may have been confused and thought she was in autopilot, because like right now I'm in autopilot. The car's doing the steering, and I've actually had it happen a couple times to me, where if you brake it with the steering wheel, now my traffic aware cruise control's on, the car will continue at the same speed. Of course, I did it at a yellow blinking light, so that's not a good representation, but like right now, the cruise control's on, traffic aware, so it'll just slow down and speed up to traffic. And if you have your hand on the wheel, you're kind of pulling on it. It is not driving lane keeping for me, but it is going to slow down and adjust to traffic in front of me. I'm in, steering, the car's driving for me, and then all of a sudden I hit a curb or something, because there's, for full self-driving beta is not a super example to talk about this, because I can go full screen here. With the regular autopilot beta, you can't go full screen. So it would be like this one, like this. The graphics aren't the same on the autopilot beta versus the full self-driving beta. So the other one, so if I were to, now this is more like what the but so the two indicators for autopilot beta that the car is driving for you would be the blue steering wheel here on the top, the little tiny blue steering wheel, and then the lines turn blue, to show you that the car is driving. I haven't used autopilot beta in a while. I could toggle back to it, but I haven't used it in a while, so I don't believe like the different stuff happening with the car, like here, the thick blue line. Before it used to be a little skinnier until a recent was the reverse arrows to show if the car is slowing down or decelerating, and the farther out it, just not paying attention. I don't know the person. Not trying to say anything negative or bad about them, but from everything that I've ever had happen, there's only been like 2 like holy shits for me, like wow, I can't believe it did that. So I mean guess 1 in a million, maybe, like 1 in half a million, maybe, that autopilot. But yeah. So I wasn't doing a live, doing a 360 recording, and I was for the that's probably one of my biggest complaints. Like, I understand that they try to save money and make better margins on the cars and use camera or vision more for these different functions, like wipers. Instead of having an actual water/rain sensor, we're using the cameras to see if there's water, to set your wipers and adjust the speeds all automatically. And that's been a nightmare. And now we're like, let's see, probably had gotten rid of the rain sensors. I know for surely the Model 3 never had the rain sensors. And those started coming out in 2017 to employees. So that'd be 5 years ago. They decided that we don't need rain sensors, we're going to use cameras. And then they went to like this deep rain and all this stuff that was supposed to make it better, and it's still not as good as like the good old fashioned, I have a rain sensor. And then the brights. If my brights come on and see these little reflectors and these little signs, all of a sudden the camera will think that might be a car, so it shuts my brights off and then turns it back on, and then it'll see another reflector and think it's a car, and so then it turns into like my car auto lights are having a seizure. On, off, on, off, on, off. They moved quite to where it was on when there was a car, and then and it sounds like not a big problem, but where it really became problematic was they actually lock you in to auto wipers and auto brights. So I could go here, and if I want to just do my light settings, okay, now I could shut it off, and then let's see here if I can turn it off now. Now I'm on my dims. So I could shut it off, but every time you, and then and he says so, the wipers are going to get really good now. So I guess after, I get it, they have a certain amount of programmers, they have certain priorities, they're, on certain things and they're prioritized, so weren't the top priority. Easier than solve driving, getting up to level 4, harder comparative vision. And we had me at you and the vehicle on the visualization. It was great. So I had to look it up on my phone of how to disable the beeping. So I mean, but if you don't try these things, or you don't even think that they're possible, then they will never be. But if you say, hey, let's do it this way, let's use these, like for example with SpaceX, let's use rockets and then land them and reuse them. If we don't envision that that's something that we can do, then it'll never happen. And yes, they almost failed. We had rockets exploding. We had rockets that weren't landing. And today, well, actually it would be yesterday because it's after midnight. Today was the 200th landing, successful landing of SpaceX rockets. Congratulations, SpaceX. Very exciting. When I do the videos and I'm talking about the things that are wrong, I feel like that's kind of what my job is, right? To train the car, to teach the car. So I'm not complaining about these things. It's not a complaint. It's hey, these are issues. These are my issues. This is the problems. Because, yeah, there's a certain level of, yeah, I can give feedback. Or Tesla's doing what they're doing on their end. If I break my autopilot, disengage, or report it, or all these different things. But I'm doing all those things, and Tesla's using all their tactics and whatever they're using on the back end, like, oh, user input, he pushed the accelerator, or whatever they do to collect that data to say, hey, let's improve it. Out of all those things, it seems like I've been doing the beta testing for FSD since October of 2020, COVID era, and so 2020, now it's 2023, so in October it'll be 3 years, and I still can't do blinking yellow lights. It did it at the beginning, and then it went away. Like, I don't know. I've tried to find out, like, hey, is this an issue with my cameras? Is this an issue with my car? Like, do I have to, like, clean something, or, what's going on? But, hey, there's a deer. But on the other side of the token, when I first got it, it couldn't do, well, the driveway as well as it does now. My driveway. Welcome to the impossible driveway. I talk about it a lot. When we have a high water table here, so when we get a lot of rain, this ditch isn't draining well with some beavers here, and so this water collects some massive mud puddles, and somehow, some way, autopilot can navigate through it, but not necessarily the way I would do it if I'm driving. So when we get that way, I just drive manually. Oh, look, I'm home. That's the other thing. It knows where my house is, but I'm a tenth of a mile away. But we'll get there. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I can get some of this stuff posted, and maybe get some positive corrections happening, similar to Chuck with his unprotected left turn, Chuck's turn that made the release notes. We can get, working blinking yellows, or a don't stop in the middle of the road type solutions. I feel like they should see that on their end, hopefully with some posting on some social media and some exposure of these issues that I'm having. I can find out whether or not it's just something happening specifically with my car, or